Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to How Do They Do That Live December edition. We have really great timing because this happens to be Computer Science Education Week and Hour of Code Week, and we'll talk about all of that fun stuff in a moment here. But since we are in Computer Science Education Week, all of our topics today are around computer science and all of the great programs we have here at Modesto City Schools. So this is our agenda for the next hour that we're going to spend together. We'll have just a quick housekeeping introduction, make sure you guys all know how you're getting attendance, what the meeting norms are, all of that. And then we have the computer literacy teacher, Abigail. She will be talking about Make Code. And I hear we might even get to play a little bit of video games, so pretty excited about that. And then we'll hear from Yumi Soares, another computer literacy teacher, all about microbits. And then kind of moving from the elementary world into the anybody world, we'll hear about Hour of Code, and that will be with me, Alexandra. And then we'll learn about our CTE programs that we have here at Modesto City Schools with a focus on computer science specifically, and that'll kind of be the high school side of it. Of course, that's not everything that we do related to computer science, but you should learn a lot. You'll have some takeaways, and if you find computer science and coding very intimidating, which I know a lot of us do, by the end of today, hopefully you'll feel like it's a lot more approachable for you and your students. Just another little thing I want to touch base with here is our collective why. Dr. Noguchi kind of introduced this idea at the beginning of the year, and I think it's important that we just kind of touch on this very briefly every day when we can, just to kind of remind ourselves why we're here and why we do what we do. So our collective why is that every student graduates with the skills, knowledge, and character traits essential to thrive and contribute to society. And I feel like this dovetails very nicely with our topic today, all about computer science, because whether you like it or not, or however you feel about computers, they are heavily ingrained in our future. So getting kids familiar with coding and the languages computers speak and all of the different ways they can interact with computers is an essential skill for them to have for the job market and for schooling. So hopefully today you leave inspired with some different things that you can do with coding and your students. And with all of that introductory stuff being said, Abigail is going to take over here with Make Code. So Abigail, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Okay, can you give me share? Oh, there's share screen.
Okay, we can see your screen.
Okay, so I am going to present to you guys Microsoft Make Code arcade game. And when we were little at home, we used to play arcade games like Atari, Nintendo, and we used to create all these beautiful games. Well, we have found this program, and I went to ITSE, and we found this program. It creates arcade games. The standards I'm going to cover for you for computer science are 3.5 AP12, which is create a program that has events, loops, and conditionals. Also 3.5 AP11, which is create a program that uses variables to store and modify data. For 6 through 8, the standard I'm going to cover is create clear named variables that store data and perform operations on their contents. 6.8 AP12, which is design and iterate develop programs that combine control structures and use compound conditionals. So those are the two different standards we're going to cover for grades 3 through 5 and 6 through 8. So you guys are all going, okay, so what's an arcade game? So most of us are used to a handheld device that has keys A and B, and then you have the up and down arrow. Well, in the arcade game we're going to create, that you guys are going to create, we're going to learn how to create a game that we used to play when we were kids. But before we do this, we're going to watch a short video of how Microsoft Make Code Arcade works, and then we're going to log in. Everybody's going to log in with their Google account. So let's watch a short video that shows us a couple of tips of how to add a sprite, how to add a background, and how to animate this so we can have some fun this afternoon.
I'm going to show you how to get started with Microsoft Make Code Arcade. When you first land on our homepage at arcade.makecode.com, this is what you'll see. At the top, we have a banner that scrolls through all of the new and important features that we have available for you. Next, you'll see the My Projects row. This one's a little empty because I'm on a private browser. Below that, we have a couple rows of skill maps, a couple rows of tutorials, and a whole bunch of other goodies and opportunities that you can browse through. For today, we'll focus on these. It's possible that when you first arrive, you'll want to create your own project. That's great. Just click New Project and give it a name. Your project will load in a window that looks a lot like this. Over here, you'll see a game window. The game window is what will display the results of the code you write. Then you have the toolbox. The toolbox is what holds the blocks that you'll be coding with. For example, if I wanted to change the color of my background, I could grab a block and drop it in here. Very purple. This is the workspace. It's where you'll bring the blocks to connect them together to make your code. If you're a little more advanced, you can click JavaScript and do some coding in our text editor. When you're done with your changes, you can test them out here or switch back to blocks. Easy peasy. JavaScript isn't your thing? That's fine. You can use Python. Next, you'll see an Assets tab. If you were playing with art or music, this is where all of that would show up. I haven't done any of that yet, so I'll click the green plus to add something new. You can make an image for a sprite, a tile for a tile map, a whole tile map for a level, animations, or songs. Let's make some music. Here, you'll see we have a music staff and a lot of icons that represent different instruments. I'm going to use the fish. A little playing around will show you this is a lot like writing music for the piano. Lovely. You have your instruments up here, an eraser, a grid in case you want your notes to be shorter or longer, stop, play, loop. You can make your tempo faster or slower. Show bass clef gives you more space to play and a wider range. Undo, redo, and you can change your number of measures. Perfect. Now I have a song. I'm going to go ahead and make some art also. Here our image editor will open, and I'm going to grab one of our fish icons. And I'm going to change it using a super secret technique. I'll right-click on orange and left-click on yellow, and then when I hit Shift-R, it will replace the color I had in the background with the color I have in the foreground. Lovely. Now I have a sprite that's ready to use. Presto! When I'm done with my project, I can come down here and download it to a physical console, save it to my computer, add it to my GitHub repo, or I can share it. There. Now it's ready to send to a friend. If I want this project to be saved to the cloud as I go, I can sign in using a Microsoft account or Google. Now let's head back to the home page and see what else we can do. The biggest difference between a skill map and a tutorial is that a skill map is made up of many different tutorials. Let's take a look at Burst in Balloons. Here you'll see 4 different tutorials that build upon each other to make one epic multiplayer game. To start, you can click the highlighted level and the start button, or you can just double-click the first level. Normally, a pop-up window will show you what you're about to do, and then you'll see instructions on the side. Your game window has moved down to the lower right corner, so you can still see it as you code. Now you have all of these instructions that you can follow to learn how to make something new. Here, we can navigate with the bubbles, we can navigate with the arrows, or we can use the next button when we're ready to go on to the next instruction. You can click the highlighted text to open the category that you'll need to pull a block out of, or click these arrows to get a clue. There's hints down at the bottom if you want to know what you were supposed to have done during this step. Follow the instructions as you go, and when you get to the end, click Done. You'll be brought back out to the main skill map where you can sign in. You don't need to sign in, but if you do, we'll save your progress and you'll get a badge at the end. Now you're free to move through the rest of the skill map. When you make it through the final level, you'll come out and get a reward. A certificate, whether you're logged in or not, or a badge if you are. At this point, you can click back on the last level you did and share it with a friend, or mod it by clicking Save to My Projects. Now you're back in the main project window and you can add any sort of block you want. Don't see the block you're looking for? Click Extensions, and that will take you to our extension library, where you can add extra functionality. When you're done, share your game to a kiosk. It's as easy as clicking this button and adding the 6-digit code of the kiosk that you're playing on. And there it is. It's as easy as that to share your creativity using Microsoft MakeCode Arcade.
Okay, so what we're going to do this afternoon is we are going to do one of the tutorials first. I'm going to give you. So what I'm going to recommend, I put the code in the website is on the question and A, where it says HTTP Arcade Made. I'm going to have everybody log in. You're going to log in with your Google account. When you log in with your Google account, this will save your project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my screen right here. So it's the sign in button. You're going to click sign in, and then you're going to sign in with Google. And then I'm going to let you guys select any of the tutorials right here. So that way you get an idea of how this program works without having to figure out, okay, which block do I pull first? So I'm going to give you guys, first thing I want you guys to do is I'm giving you guys 5 minutes. I'm going to set the timer. I want you guys all to log in. The website is in the question and A. Please log in with Google for me. That way it saves your project. And I would like for each of you to select a tutorial. Whichever tutorial you say, oh, this is something interesting I would like to do, go ahead and click on it. And then I want you to play with the different blocks. Think of it as the blocks are in the middle, and you're going to take the blocks and you're going to put them on the right-hand side. So select any of the tutorials. And does anybody have any questions before I set the timer? Okay, nobody has any questions? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set your timer at 5 minutes. I'm going to let you play with one of the tutorials. And remember, you can do a couple levels. You don't have to do the whole thing. But I want you to try it and see, you know, think of it when you used to be a kid and you used to play with the arcade and the remote controller was in your hands. You had button A and button B, and that's what we're going to play with today. So your timer's set. Good luck. You guys have 5 minutes.
Abigail, do you have a timer on screen you want to share with them?
I do have a timer in my presentation. So let me get my timer on my presentation. So here we go. Let me get the timer.
Perfect. And you'll have to share your screen again because I stopped sharing my screen.
Okay, let me share my screen and let me get my timer. Okay, now that everybody's had a little bit of time to play with it, that's how we use it in computer science. But this year we've started incorporating ELA standards where we do a retell. And so in my class, we've done the story of Mañana Iguana, which is almost, it's kind of like the red little hen story about how this the red little hen asked everybody for help, and then everybody always keeps saying no. So we do the retell first, and then we log in back into the arcade game, and we actually create a retell. Before we log in, we talk about what's the setting, what's the characters, what was the problem in our story, and how did our little character solve the problem in our story. So today, what I'm going to have you guys do is we're going to actually create a new project. So you guys are logged in with your Google accounts. So I'm going to have everybody hit the plus sign, and we're going to create a new project. So this is going to be a brand new project. And when you log in with your new project, you have no blocks. So the first thing you're going to do is you guys are going to go to a scene. You're going to create your scene as your background. So think of it, your beautiful background. Do you want it to be the woods? Do you want it to be a specific color? So that one is the one with the tree. And then you're going to you need some sprites. Your sprites are your little characters that are going to bounce around in your game. And so you're going to need a couple of sprites. In Mañana Iguana, we had iguana, we had the lizard, we had the snake, and then we had, there was one more character. We had a coyote in it. So we had 4 different characters. So you're going to have 4 different sprites. And then I'm going to let you play with the controllers. You're going to need button A and button B. And then the rest of it, I'm going to let you go ahead and give you another 5 minutes. So we're starting from scratch. So this has, the only block you have is the button that says on when you click on start. So I just want you to remember, you're going to need 4 sprites. You're going to need whatever background you want for your background for your party. Controller, you're going to need button A and you're going to need a button B. If you want to play with the music, you have the music button right here. You can select music and you can add music, or if you want to create your own music, you can create your own music. So before I let you create your own project, does anybody have a question? Okay, so you need 4 sprites, controller A, controller B, 1 beautiful background, and any music you want to create, if you want to create your own music or you want to add their own music. So I'm going to set your timer. If nobody has any questions, please click the button to hit create and let me set your timer for you. Okay, so everybody has had a chance to create something, and after creating, after the way we've been using it in my class, I've been thinking about, for a general ed teacher, how can you incorporate maker space arcade games into your classroom? And I was thinking about, you could use it in history to retell an event, a certain event, like in the Civil War, or you could use it in if you want your students in language arts in the high school level or junior high, you want them to retell you a story and you want to do it in a creative way where students would have a creative outlet. That is another way you could do character setting, problem solution, and have the kids do it, represent what they've learned in the story in a different way. What I would like you guys to do, because with Makerspace Arcade, it lets you share with other people, your game, is if anyone would like to share what they created, you can drop the link in the question and answer so we can see some of your ideas, and then maybe take some of those ideas back into our classrooms. So that way everybody learns and gets a new idea that would help all of us. Does anybody have any questions about how we use it? Because this is a program that it's very flexible. It's not something you can just use in the computer lab. It is something that can be applied to the general ed classrooms, and just using an ELA standard or a social studies standards, you can incorporate it into a regular classroom. And Alexandra, that's all I have for you today.
All right, awesome. I bet people didn't think they were going to be making a video game today.
No, I don't think they thought they were going to play today.
I know I had a lot of fun. Let me see if I can unpin my Teams control here. But I had a lot of fun. I can't unpin my little control thing. If I can get it unpinned and figured out, I'll show you guys the little game that I played. I was not so good about figuring out how to get him to move, but I got a cute little background set up and some sprites in there. So pretty proud of myself for 10 minutes of work. Up next, we do have microbits from Yumi Soares. So this is just a quick, she couldn't be with us today, so we were just going to watch a quick video from her, about 7 minutes or so. So we will take a look at that. And just as a reminder, as we're getting going with this Yumi Soares video, there is a Q&A. So if you have any questions, thoughts, anything that you thought was particularly cool, something you're proud of sharing, something you're excited you made, just pop it in the Q&A real quick and let me know what you're thinking of the presentation so far. All right, with that being said, let's hear from Yumi.
Welcome to the introduction to microbits. How did they do that live? With myself, Yumi Soares, your EdTech liaison. The ISTE standard I'm covering is 1.5 Computational Thinker. Students will develop and employ strategies for understanding and solving problems in ways to leverage the power of technological methods to develop and test solutions. What is a microbit, you ask? It is a pocket-sized programmable computer used to teach computer science. What does a microbit contain? Well, in the front, there are 25 red LED lights. The LED stands for light emitting diodes. It has 25 individually programmable LEDs allowing you to display text, numbers, and images. In the front as well are 2 buttons. There are 2 buttons on the front labeled A and B. When you press these buttons, it triggers a code on the microbit. There's also a touch sensor on the microbit logo, located here. When you press the logo, it triggers a code on the microbit as well. Lastly, there's a microphone right here next to the logo. There is a built-in microphone. It will trigger a code when you make a sound. On the back of the microbit, you'll see a reset button here, a battery socket, a processor here, and a compass, as well as a accelerometer. And right here are little pins. This is an edge connector for additional accessories. When going into computer science, I like to review the vocabulary. So I like to start off with programming. And programming is basically writing a group of instructions for a computer to process. Debugging, basically finding errors and how to fix them. Sequencing is like following a recipe, a cookie recipe. And we need to make sure we're following the exact instructions. And then lastly, looping, so it is repeated more than once. The second part is on computational thinking. It allows children to learn to solve problems by analyzing and breaking them down in smaller tasks, simultaneously debugging to fix them. So we focus on algorithms and decomposition, basically breaking them down into smaller parts. And lastly, computer systems, learning about both the hardware and the software. Hardware is the computer's physical parts. Software is the program that tells the hardware what to do, which focuses on inputs and outputs. Inputs are data entered into the system, while output processes the information. After I review the vocabulary, I have them watch a video on computer basics inside a computer. Now that we've already talked about the hardware, the microbit itself, now we're going into the software, which is the MakeCode platform. So all you need to do is basically click on the MakeCode link, which I have right here. There are basically 3 steps to code within this platform. We need to connect the blocks and then write the code, connect the microbit with this USB into the Chromebook, and then download the program and upload it to the Chromebook. And I'm going to give you a brief tour of the actual MakeCode platform. So right here, you'll notice it says, see what your code looks like running on a microbit. And you can basically drag out blocks of code from the toolbox category, which is right here. And this is the workspace where you're going to be connecting the blocks. And if you ever wanted to share your project with someone, here is the share link. And lastly, you are going to click down here at the download button to program the microbit. So the project we're going to create first is called the Digital Name Tag Project. But first, go ahead and sign in the top right-hand corner. This prompt will come up and you would need to have your students sign in with Google. Once you have signed in, up here you have the choices by coding by blocks or JavaScript or Python. We're going to stick with blocks. Now, since I want the name to actually loop I'm going to leave the forever block here in the workspace, but I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop this into the tools to delete it. In order to see your name and lights, come up here to your toolkit and select Basic. Scroll down and see the Show String block. Drag and drop this into your loop block called Forever. And click inside the box and have your student type in their name. And if they want, they can add another block. So come over here to Basics again. And let's see here. I want to use a show icon. So after their name, I like to see a heart or maybe a check mark. And you'll see it right here at the simulator. If you don't see it right away, you can go ahead and click on this refresh button, but it usually takes a few seconds. Now let's go ahead and download this program. So come down here to the purple box that says download, click it once. Now it will ask you to connect your microbit to the computer, so do so now and press next. And we now need to pair the microbit to the Chromebook, so press pair. And go ahead and find the actual microbit. It's right there, so select it, connect. And this happens at times as well, so we just need to try it again. And once it's downloaded, it will basically look just like the simulator. And thank you for your interest in the microbits.
All right, so that was all about microbits, and I believe we have a special announcement. Oh, we can't hear you.
There we go.
There we go.
Hey, not much to add other than we do have microbits if you are interested in using that. If you were inspired by that video, you can reach out to us and we can try to get some to you if you're interested in using them with your students. So that's it. Thanks.
Very cool. Thank you, Brandon. So if you guys didn't catch that, we have microbits that you can check out and use with your class. All right, we only have about 15 minutes left. We've had a lot of great content so far, so I'll try to buzz through my content here pretty quickly. The next thing I want to talk about with you guys is Hour of Code. And you might be curious what the heck the Hour of Code is, and it kind of sounds a little bit intimidating, right? It's like this hour of coding, like how am I supposed to do this with my kids? I have a really great video that is 2 minutes long, but since I'm trying to conserve time, we are going to glide right on past this, but I encourage you to come back and watch it. Just kidding, I don't want to watch that video. But basically what the Hour of Code is it's a simple way to introduce students to the idea of computer science and coding. So doesn't matter what level of coder you are, whether you've never even thought about code in your life, or you are a professional, whatever setting you want to host an Hour of Code in, Hour of Code is a great introductory to computer science. So I just want to show you it in action. We're not going to have time to go hands-on here, but there is a website. It is linked in the PowerPoint, which I will send you guys, and it's Hour of Code. And I just want to draw your attention that there are all kinds of filters. So if you've got kids who are grade 2 through 5, we have Hour of Code activities for that. If you've got 6th graders, if you've got high schoolers, you have all kinds of filters you can apply. You can also decide if this is beginner level coders or if they are a little bit more comfortable with coding. There's also all kinds of filters here, including a recommended, who created it, different classroom technology, different educational topics. So if you're trying to integrate coding in your math curriculum, you can check math, and it's going to find coding activities that align with that. You can also look for self-led tutorials if you want your students to go at their own pace, or there is content with lesson plans that you can work with your students. You can also restrict it to that 1 hour, so you can really stay true to the hour of code meaning, or you have 1 hour with follow-ups or something that's a few hours. I really want to highlight this really quickly. If you do have students with different needs in your classroom, there are all kinds of accessibility supports as well. So there's screen reader support, text-to-speech support, keyboard navigation, captions, high contrast. And so you can toggle some of these on to find activities that are going to match your learners where they're at. And all of these activities are fairly self-explanatory. So we'll do self-led tutorial, we're interested in math, and maybe we want some keyboard navigation. Great, so here's all these activities that fit within that. And then you can go ahead and pick one, like let's do math multiplication. And it's gonna get you right in there. There'll be a little bit of intro video here, which we're not gonna take time to watch. And then we are gonna use our blocks to do our multiplication problem. So we've got butterflies here, so maybe we're figuring out how the butterflies multiply. One thing, I just kind of glossed right on past it here, but once you click on an activity, you'll see a little bit more information about it. You'll also have resources, including teacher notes, student experience, classroom technology that this matches with, and what standards this aligns with, and what language it's in. So you have a lot of great information, and you're able to just jump right in and do these with your students. At Modesto City Schools, we also have some coding apps that have been approved. They are also linked on this slide. So if I click on MCS coding apps, it's going to take you right to this web page, and you have your different grade levels, and you can click to expand those out. So some of these are going to be from code.org, which is the website we just saw. They're just going to be a little bit more curated. So there's a single lesson, a course, Discovery Education app, Microbits, which we just learned about, and MakeCode. We can go into another grade level and we're going to see very similar things. We're going to see Hour of Code, Make Flappy Game, courses, and the Discovery Ed coding app. So there's a lot of great content to support the idea of the Hour of Code. And basically, just kind of to talk about this, the idea of the Hour of Code is just to do an hour of coding with your students. It's pretty straightforward in the name there. So the idea is to do an hour of code with your students. And this code.org, which is where we were here, offers all kinds of activities to support that idea of an hour of code with your students. That being said, they're not just throwing you into the deep end and saying, here, do an hour. There is some guidelines around it. So let's take a look at how we could maybe conduct an hour of code with our class if we were interested. If you want to participate in the official Hour of Code, which is run by code.org, that happens to be this week. So from December 4th through the 10th is the official Hour of Code. And the idea is to get as many individuals, as many students, as many schools to participate and learn coding. Now, you're not going to learn coding in an entire hour. That's not quite possible. But the idea is to dive in, try an hour, and hopefully spark your students' interest in coding. Now, that being said, that's real short notice, right? I know we are coming into finals. We are coming into the end of the trimester, the semester. So that might not work for everybody. That's okay. If this is something that you think might be beneficial to your class, do an hour anyway and make it a goal to do it for Computer Science Week next year. Or try it half an hour, or try 20 minutes, or go home and just try it yourself for a little while, just to see what this coding thing is all about and see that it is pretty approachable, especially if you start with that block coding that we saw with Microbit and that we saw with Abigail's presentation. Now, if you are interested in doing an hour of code, what do you need? You don't need to be an expert. You don't need special devices. You can do it with the content and the devices you have in your room. So this is just a very brief checklist here. You need dedicated class time. You need the students to bring their Chromebooks. So at the K-6 level, you might need to remind them, charge it overnight, bring it every day. The 7-12 level, hopefully they're used to bringing it every day by now, but just you need those devices in the classroom. A lot of these activities will work just fine on Chromebook, so you don't need anything special. And then you're probably going to want your kids to bring headphones. Every student was issued a set of earbuds with their device. That being said, they can use whatever earbuds they would like to on their device. But if they're walking through tutorials and they're playing games and they're building content, that with 30 to 40 kids in the room, that might be a lot. So headphones might be the one thing that you really want to enforce with them. And then student excitement. Although students do get pretty excited anytime there's something new to do, especially around this idea of they might be making a video game, they might be interacting with a device that lights up and spells their name, they might be learning something new. So the student excitement piece is pretty easy. And that's really all you need to get started. The next thing you would need to do is pick a date. And then this here is just kind of a rough idea of what a lesson plan could look like. So when you are ready to do the hour of code, or you can even kind of tease it a little bit, you can start with an inspirational video or two. And you'll notice I have a link here to a 20-minute timer. So that's not the right link. I'll update that link before I send it to you. The Hour of Code has all kinds of videos for you guys. Here we go. All kinds of videos for you guys to share with your students. There's one from President Obama. There's one that has Mark Zuckerberg in it. There's one on what is creativity, because people don't often associate computer science with creativity, but you need both in order to be successful. So there's all kinds of inspirational videos that you can play to get your students excited about the idea of an hour with code. And then, like with any activity, it's always a good idea to set some context. So maybe have a class discussion about the importance of technology. You could do that in class. You could do a flip assignment. You could do a writing activity, just something to kind of get them thinking about why technology is important and why they might want to learn how it works and how to create the code that runs the technology. And then from there, you direct them to your preferred activity or activities. So let's say you've gone through the Hour of Code website here and you've curated 2 or 3 activities and you're going to give them a choice. What I recommend is putting those links in Schoology. Maybe make an Hour of Code folder, give them a choice of 3 or 4 lessons, and let them go ham on the lessons you've curated for them. Because I can guarantee you that if you just set them loose on this site here without any guidelines as far as grade level, ability level, they're going to find something and they might get a little bit stuck. So good idea to curate for them. But once you've curated the coding activity that you want them to do and you posted those in Schoology for them, giving them a choice or just directing them to one, they're good. They can go code for an hour. You can walk around, support them, pull students together if they're having trouble, encourage your top learners to help the students that might be struggling. And then after the hour is over, we always want to end with a closure. So let's talk about what we tried, what we learned. Let's talk about our successes. A lot of these Hour of Codes will come with certificates, or you could make your own certificates in Canva and give them an Hour of Code certificate to celebrate their achievement. There's also PBIS points, 5-star reward points, or any other way that you want to celebrate that they did something really cool and they started learning how to code. And that's it. That's all you really need to do to get started and kind of plan an Hour of Code lesson. Now, I can hear the okay, yeah, that's it, but we have all this other stuff we have to do. And I totally respect that. It's can be hard to kind of fit this in your class time, especially if you've got a curriculum that you're really trying to stick to. But this can be a really great activity to kind of further student engagement. And you can really try and find some Hour of Code activities that already align to the content that you're trying to teach. So hopefully some of you give it a try. And in our final 5 minutes that we have here, I just really quickly also want to talk to you about the CTE programs. So we heard a lot about the CLT world and K-6 students. We saw this Hour of Code, which is really open to anybody. So let's take a look at what we have here at Modesto City Schools at the high school level. So at the high school level, we do have this program called CTE. It's Career and Technical Education. And we have a lot of different CTE courses, including things like agriculture and welding and computer science. And we have a lot of different CTE content that helps students start to train for careers that they might want. Now, specifically, let's just take a look at the CTE website here. This is our CTE website with their promotional catalog, the course catalog, student recruitment flyers, information in Spanish. And if I go into course catalog here, we can see all the CTE courses, once this PDF loads, that we offer for our students. Now, that's okay. It's not loading, but no big deal. Specifically, though, in honor of Computer Science Week, we do have IT pathways here at Modesto City Schools. So pulling up the promotional catalog here, this is just one example of a pathway that we have. So this is our pathway map. This would be the intro course that they could take, the concentrator course they could take, and the capstone. And you can see here it's 3 different courses along the row, and then the pathway is vertical here. So if I want to learn games and simulations as a student, I can take video game development, and then as we add courses, I would take video game development 2 and possibly the capstone video game development 3. If we want to look more at software and systems development, we have robotic engineering 1 would be our intro class. We have 4 different options for a concentrator class and 3 different options for a capstone class. And then down at the bottom here on this page, you can see the locations that we offer those courses, including Enox, Johansen, Modesto, Bayer, Enox, and Enox. So some of these are really exclusive to Enox, but Johansen and Modesto High also support some of these courses. And then if we scroll down here, we can learn a little bit more about the courses themselves, including course descriptions, the level here, intro, concentrator, capstone. And I think that's all we've got. So those are all of our different course descriptions. So as you can see, we actually have quite a few different courses around coding and computer science here at Modesto City Schools. Just at a quick glance here, I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 15 different classes around computer science just at Modesto City Schools, and that will be expanding. Especially as you can see here, we are trying to expand our software and system development, system programming pathway, and our video game and simulation pathway. So there's definitely more to come. There's a lot of growth and opportunity in this area. And then finally here, we do have a quick 2-minute video on Enox. They have that software and systems development pathway. So we're gonna take just a quick look at this before we wrap up for the afternoon.
The goal of the Software and Systems Development Pathway at Enox High School is to give a sense of the broad reach of computer science throughout all industry sectors. We offer industry-relevant education in one of the most in-demand fields of the 21st century. The SSD pathway includes UC A through G approved courses in Exploring Computer Science, Robotics Engineering, 3D Graphics and Animation, 2D Video Game Development, 3D Video Game Development, Honors Video Game Development 3-4, Artificial Intelligence, Honors Computer Programming 1-2, Web Application Development, Honors Data Science 1-2, Cybersecurity 1-2, Cybersecurity 3-4, Honors Networking 1-2, Honors Cybersecurity 5-6, Honors Software Engineering, and Internship in Computer Science. One of the greatest strengths of the SSD pathway is that students can pursue their own path through the courses. In this way, students can choose to explore different areas or specialize in any one area. For students planning on pursuing college, the SSD pathway is the only pathway in the state that offers students an opportunity to earn up to 21 units of transferable early college credit through Modesto Junior College at no cost for completing articulated high school pathway courses with a B or higher grade. This means students could have up to a full year of college completed upon graduating high school. We also offer opportunities and training for students to receive industry-recognized certifications. SSD pathway students also have an opportunity to be part of a number of unique clubs and competitions, including Skills USA, Girls Who Code, Cyber Patriot, National Cyber League, NorCal Cyber Mayors Cup, and many more. However, a great pathway is a lot more than the exceptional course offerings students can take each year. A great pathway helps students feel connected and build relationships. Our SSD Pathway Student Leadership Team helps build this environment for our students. The Pathway Student Leadership Team works together to plan fun activities and events for all Pathway students. All SSD Pathway students have an opportunity to be part of the leadership team. And thanks to the leadership team, all Pathway students have an opportunity to take part in fun monthly activities, including laser tag, funworks, boomers, Nexus Gaming, rock and jump, escape rooms, potlucks, pool parties, and so much more. And Pathway upperclassmen also have an opportunity to attend bi-yearly college field trips. If you're thinking about pursuing a career in technology, come join the Enox SSD Pathway. If you're interested in joining our team, let your counselor know and ballot for one or more SSD Pathway courses. We hope to see you next year.
Okay, so that's the Enox SSD pathway. Definitely, if you are an elementary or middle school teacher, encourage your kids to check this out if it's something that you think they'd be interested in, especially our young girls. there is a growing disparity between men and women who go into computer science, and rather than getting better, like a lot of disparities are, it's actually getting worse. So definitely encourage your young girls that they can absolutely do this. It's something that's relevant, exciting, has incredible job opportunities, and is something worth them looking into.